Let's dive into a question that sounds like it's straight out of a blockbuster sci-fi movie, but has some seriously fascinating and frankly terrifying scientific answers. So get ready, because what would really happen is way stranger than you probably imagine.
All right, so let's just imagine it for a second. What if our moon, our constant companion in the night sky, suddenly stopped doing its thing and just started falling towards us? Well, believe it or not, to really understand the crash, we first have to get our heads around why it doesn't just fall on us all the time.
You know, Earth's gravity is always tugging on the moon, right? It's this massive force constantly pulling it closer. So why doesn't it just come plummeting down? You might think there's some kind of mysterious anti-gravity thing going on, but the real answer is actually a lot more dynamic and honestly a lot cooler.
It all comes down to something we call an orbit. And it's not some force field holding the moon up. It's much simpler. The moon is constantly falling toward Earth, but, and this is the key, it's also moving sideways so incredibly fast that it continuously misses us. It's literally in a state of perpetual falling and missing.
Okay, think about it like this. When you throw a ball, it travels in an arc, right? That's actually a tiny little orbit before it hits the ground. Now, if you could throw that ball fast enough, its path would curve all the way around the Earth. And if you did that in space, where there's no air resistance to slow it down, it would just keep going, forever. That's exactly what the moon is doing.
So, the whole secret is that incredible speed. The moon is absolutely booking it sideways at over 3,600 kilometers per hour. To get it to just stop dead in its tracks and fall straight down would break pretty much every law of physics we know.
Which means, for our little thought experiment here, we're gonna have to cheat. Let's imagine a magic spell just, poof, instantly slams the brakes on the moon, killing all its sideways momentum and turning its orbit into a collision course. And just to make it interesting, let's say it's gonna take exactly 1 year to get here. The countdown starts now.
For the first few days, you probably wouldn't even notice anything was wrong. The moon just gets a little bit brighter in the sky each night. But the first real, undeniable sign that something is terribly wrong would come from our oceans. Within just 1 month, daily high tides swell to 4 meters. We're talking major coastal cities like New York and London flooding every single day. By month 2, those tides are over 10 meters high, and that's when global infrastructure really starts to fall apart. And then our technology starts to fail, as the moon's growing gravity starts literally yanking our communication satellites right out of the sky.
And I mean, just look at how insane that jump is. We're not talking about a little extra water in the streets. We're going from a normal half-meter tide to a 10-meter wall of water. That's a force of nature powerful enough to completely rewrite our coastlines twice a day, every day. And this kicks off a catastrophic chain reaction. With every major port now unusable, global shipping just stops. All those undersea internet cables that connect the world, their terminals on the coasts are submerged, taking about 95% of the internet with them. The tides are so strong, they push salt water up rivers, contaminating fresh water. And coastal oil refineries, they're abandoned. Gas shortages cripple whatever's left. Civilization starts to break down fast.
So we're now entering the next phase. Around 4 months in, if you thought things were bad, well, the apocalypse was just warming up. The problem isn't just the water anymore. The moon's gravity is now so powerful, it's starting to affect the very ground we're standing on.
See, up until now, the oceans took the brunt of the moon's gravitational pull because, water can flow and move. But the tides have gotten as big as they can get. So now the planet's solid crust starts to get squeezed and pulled by that immense gravity. We are officially entering the age of rock tides.
And the results are, well, they're biblical. The stress on the tectonic plates kicks off colossal earthquakes all over the world. Magma chambers deep underground are disrupted, waking up dormant supervolcanoes. Eruptions at places like Yellowstone in Chile and New Zealand start pumping unbelievable amounts of ash into the atmosphere, which begins to trigger a radical change in the global climate. And all this time, the view from the ground becomes just surreal. After 6 months, the moon is so close its orbit takes just 24 hours. So for one entire half of the planet, it just seems to hang there in the sky, completely stationary, a silent, unmoving, terrifying harbinger of doom.
At this point, it's pretty much game over for civilization. The next few months can basically be summarized as anyone left alive is having a really, really bad time. The world is just waiting for the final act.
All that volcanic ash is blocking out the sun, plunging the planet into a sudden deep freeze. You've got acid rain, it's snowing in the middle of summer. The moon is so huge in the sky that it causes daily eclipses, casting everything in an eerie shadow. And the moon itself is now so distorted by Earth's gravity that it looks like a giant, terrifying egg hanging over us. Finally, at the end of that long year, the moon reaches a critical threshold in space. It's called the Roche limit, and you can think of it as the ultimate point of no return. It's this invisible line where Earth's gravity officially becomes stronger than the moon's own gravity, the very force that holds it together as a solid sphere. And here it is, the final, mind-blowing twist. The moon never actually hits us. The moment it crosses that Roche limit, it starts to come apart. Its surface crumbles, huge chunks break away and start falling, and then, in one catastrophic final moment, the entire moon disintegrates into a cloud of rubble, smearing itself across the sky to form a massive, spectacular, beautiful ring system around the Earth. So, the crash never happens. The constant earthquakes finally stop. The apocalyptic tides recede one last time, and any survivors who crawl out from their bunkers are treated to one of the most incredible sights imaginable. Instead of our one familiar moon, the sky is now dominated by these tremendous, glimmering arches, stretching from horizon to horizon. They would illuminate the night more brilliantly than any full moon ever could. It's an awe-inspiring and, frankly, utterly terrifying new reality.
But this new, beautiful world isn't exactly safe. The rings bring their own set of existential threats. Friction from the constant rain of moon dust entering the atmosphere could actually heat it up enough to boil the oceans. The massive shadows cast by the rings could plunge the planet into a new ice age. And of course, the sky would be filled with constant meteor showers of leftover moon rocks.
What happens next? Honestly, it's impossible to say. Survivors might emerge from the darkness to a world that has been fundamentally broken and remade. Rebuilding civilization would be anything but guaranteed. But, as our source material beautifully puts it, at least they would get to try, under a sky filled with beautiful rings. A strange and breathtaking thought to end on.